Welcome to the AKW podcast, a place where we'll ditch the wellness lies you've been sold and learn what your mom never taught you. If you've ever wondered if the wellness industry is just a billion-dollar scam built on patriarchy and diet culture, it is. Women have been chasing impossible standards for far too long, and I'm here to help you step off the hamster wheel once and for all. No more quick fixes, no more powders or potions or empty promises. Just real talk, real science, real people, and real strategies to help you feel at home in your body and redefine what wellness is on your own terms. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Andrea Kay Wellness Podcast. I am so excited about today's podcast. This is something that I wish I had known like back in the day, but I didn't. And it took me a long time to get all this put together. And this is something that I don't think the wellness industry really talks about. And there's a few reasons I think as to why. One being like it is hard to package it into a pretty little shrink wrap box with a bow on top because it is multifaceted. So it's not like a quick fix that you could easily sell. It's not sexy, but it is foundational for your well-being. Today, we are talking all about your vagus nerve. And before you check out, I promise you, this will be amazing. Just stick with me for a minute. If you're like, Andrea, I don't even know what the hell my vagus nerve is. Guess what? I didn't either. In 2014 was the first time it popped up on my radar. And I was like, what are we even talking about? I promise you, just stick with me. If you feel like you've been running on fumes, you're battling brain fog, you have autoimmune flare-ups, you're suffering from poor sleep, chronic overwhelm, anxiety, you feel like you are just like snapping at your family or you're about to snap, then this episode is for you. And I basically just described myself at my hardest point, which was 2017. And this is the type of stuff that helped me heal. There was nothing I could do that really sealed the deal for me until I dug into some of the work that we're going to be talking about today with your vagus nerve. So we're going to be covering what is your vagus nerve, how women have poor vagal tone, what is vagal tone, but why does it show up in women so much? And then what we can do about it. Because what we can do about it is the most important part. Because unless you know what to do about it, you're not going to get better. And the good news is it doesn't require you buying any $300 supplements and going on some real unrealistic wellness retreat that like nobody has the time or the money for. Like this is stuff that you can do as easy or as soon as you get off of listening to this podcast. Like I'm going to give you some tangible action steps that you can do immediately because you're not meant to feel like this. Like you're not meant to feel like you're constantly having to perform and barely able to survive and you are a project to be fixed. Like you're supposed to be living well in your body and feel good in your body and love your life and just have some joy. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we dive into your vagus nerve, and what is vagal tone? We are going to go back to biology class for a second. And I promise it's just going to be quick, but this is all tied together and this you need to know, but I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to keep it fun. So let's talk about your parasympathetic nervous system. Okay. Your body is smart and your body has the parasympathetic nervous system, which is basically your rest and digest mode. It is the part of your nervous system that tells your body you're safe. You can relax, you can exhale. You don't need to be scanning the perimeter or looking around the room to see what's going on. Like you can just chill. And it doesn't matter where you are. This isn't about like being on the beach, like laying in the sun. This is about what you feel internally. You're safe, you are calm, you can exhale. When your parasympathetic nervous system is on, your heart rate is lower. You are more adaptable. Your digestion is better. Your brain clarity is better. Like you can remember events better. Think about this for a second. I know this is true for me, and I know it's true for a lot of the women that I coach and a lot of my girlfriends. When I talk to my husband about the first month my children were born, he has way more memories than I do, and it pisses me off. But it is because I was not in my parasympathetic nervous system. I was not in that rest and digest. I was in the opposite. I was in the sympathetic nervous system. I couldn't remember a lot of what happened during that time because I wasn't clear-headed. I wasn't in the moment. I was not present. But when you are in that parasympathetic nervous system, that is where real healing happens. When you are feeling like you're constantly pushing or providing or fixing or performing, you are not in that parasympathetic nervous system. And here's the thing, most women today, in my opinion, live in that fight or flight. They live in that opposite mode, which is your sympathetic nervous system. And I think there's a lot of reason as to why. And I'm not going to get in super deep to this, but the patriarchal system that our society is built on, it is built for a man, and women then feel that pressure. We feel the pressure to perform. We feel the pressure to look a certain way, to act a certain way. We have to provide our worth. We're not worthy from just being. That's what we're told. And if we think about this, I know my mother, she was probably a little older. She was older when she had me. So could be your grandmother, could be your mother, depending on your age and the age your mom had you, but she couldn't have a bank account. She couldn't get her own house. She had to have a male cosigner on both of those. So she couldn't provide her own basic needs. It is really hard to feel safe in your body when you cannot provide your own most basic needs, a bank account to house your money and a house to live in. So we are conditioned from birth and from our generations before us life experiences to kind of feel stuck in this fight or flight. It's like you're running from a bear constantly. And now, thank goodness, in our modern day society, we're not actually running for bears like our prehistoric ancestors were. But the problem is your body doesn't know the difference. Your body doesn't know the difference between the stress and the unease of not being able to get your own bank account versus, having 72 emails come in while you're trying to cook dinner and your phone ringing and your husband asking you a question and your kid crying and all of these things happening at one time. Your body can't differentiate those. All it knows is we are in crisis mode. And when you're stuck in this go, 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 your body literally forgets how to feel safe. There are cellular changes that happen to where your body forgets what it is like to shift back and forth between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. And you almost begin to search and seek out environments that keep you stuck in that fight or flight and in that sympathetic nervous system, because that's all you know. And your body and your brain will always choose familiarity. And the hard part is this happens on a subconscious level. So until you recognize patterns and until you take time to do some of this inner work, subconsciously, you're going to get stuck in that sympathetic nervous system. And that is what I think has happened to most women today. You're always in survival mode. And over time, that leads to exhaustion, inflammation, burnout, and feeling like a stranger in your own body. And case in point, a very, to me, like huge red flag, like this is like clear sign, is that autoimmune disease, which is inflammation, it is literally where your body turns on itself and starts attacking itself. 4 out of 5 diagnosed cases are women. Women are conditioned to overserve. Women are conditioned to overproduce. And it is catching up with them. It caught up with me. And until I did this inner work, I was stuck. It didn't matter what other interventions I put into place. I was stuck and I couldn't get beyond it. But there is good news. There is good news. You can train your body to feel safe again. But like I said, this is happening on a subconscious level. So we have to strengthen your parasympathetic nervous system. But you can. It's just like building a muscle. And when you do, you will start to feel safe in your body again. Your body will start to trust you. You will start to feel like yourself again. And that's what we call regulation. And that is your body's ability to be fluid and to go back and forth between the rest and digest, and the fight and flight. We're not trying to eliminate all stress. You can't. Life is stressful. Life is hard. Life is messy. Like I don't want you to think that we're trying to eliminate it. I want you to think we're trying to become adaptable. We're trying to become a body and a person and a mind that can shift between the two. Your body is doing exactly what it is supposed to be doing. When you're under chronic stress, your body is responding the way it should. The problem is it's not shifting out of it, and it's staying in that chronic stress too long. Now let's talk about your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve is basically it's toned and responsive to help your body regulate stress, to digest food, inflammation. When it's not toned, it's not responsive, and you get stuck in that survival mode. Um, it is your vagus nerve is your longest cranial nerve in your body. It basically runs from your brain down to your gut, and it touches every organ along the way. So it's like command central for your parasympathetic nervous system. A good visual is like, think of it like the braking system from your body. When you get really stressed, everything is going to like hit the gas, right? Your heart rate is going to go up. Your respiratory rate is going to go up. Your salivary glands might start to overproduce. Your sweat, right? You might start to sweat. You might start to feel butterflies in your tummy because your digestion is amping up. Like everything accelerates when you start to feel stressed. And your vagus nerve is the brake system that says, whoa, slow down. You're safe. We're okay. And your heart rate comes down, and your digestion slows down, and your breath slows down, and your body starts to regulate again. So let's talk about vagal tone. How does it get weakened in the first place, especially for women? If the poor vagal tone means that we're not as responsive, how did we end up there? How do we end up without good tone? And how do you tone something that like you can't even see? It seems so abstract. So let's talk about that. It's not just trauma or illness that can weaken your vagal nerve. It could be a big T trauma, and it could be little T traumas. And even if you're like, well, I've never experienced any trauma, like you have on some level. You have on some level. Think about like when you're a child, someone telling you like, don't cry. Why are you crying over this? And to you, it's like the most important thing in the world. That is somebody telling you that your thoughts and emotions aren't enough. That is something that gets imprinted on you. And just like I was saying earlier, society has all of these normatives that get imprinted on us, and we just accept them as truth when really they're not. So all of this could be little traumas that we've endured. We could get imprinted, we do get imprinted from our primary caregiver. So if your primary caregiver had a big T or little t that influenced their habits and beliefs and routines, well, guess what? They're going to pass those down to you. And you're just going to go on autopilot, and you're going to start to believe those things and think those things because that's what was taught to you. You basically get imprinted with your primary caregiver's nervous system. You, as women, we've been wired for survival in a man's world. Like I mentioned before, we've been tethered to men in a sense that we couldn't provide for ourselves housing, education, financial stability. We've been conditioned to subconsciously believe that our worth and our value are linked to our output, our beauty, our social standards, and making sure everyone else's needs were met before our own. Divorce rates were low because women couldn't leave the environment they were in, even if they wanted to, because they needed to stay in it to survive, even if it was a toxic environment. You for sure are going to get stuck in that fight or flight if you're in that kind of situation. If you are constantly multitasking, constantly scanning the environment for ways to help, if you carry the mental load for your family or provide unpaid labor for your family, which most of us do on some level, even for myself, I've worked hard to not, and I still do. If we were taught to push through exhaustion and smile through the pain and to override our needs, and again, going back to childbirth, that forced trimester, that is a prime example of that. On the way home from the hospital, we stopped at my in-laws' house for them to see the baby because they couldn't make it to the hospital. And I just remember sitting there in my adult diaper thinking, I want to go lay down. But I just smiled because I wanted them to meet their grandbaby. It is this mental load, this invisible, heavy mental load of making sure everyone else is getting what they need. And that is one of the biggest contributors to poor vagal tone. Chronic stress increases cortisol. High cortisol over time inhibits vagal nerve function. So now we're in this cycle. So the more burned out and the more overextended you are, the harder it is for your body to come back to baseline. So now you're literally physiologically stuck in this fight or flight, and you can't find the on-off switch. And there is no adrenal cocktail or enough magnesium to get you out of this point. Your body has been dysregulated for so long that its homeostasis and its happy place is dysregulation. And it's not leaving that spot. And now hormonally, you're not going to be able to break that cycle. And trust me, I know, because that's where I was. And I was taking all the stuff. I was doing the adrenal cocktails. I was doing the magnesium. I was doing all the stuff. I was working with the dietitian. I was like, why am I stuck? Because I didn't do the inner work yet. Women are not weaker. But for generations, women's bodies has been stuck in this survival mode. We've been silenced, overworked, and unseen. It's not a personal failure. Please know this is not a personal failure. This is a system failure. Your body is doing what it should functionally do, but we have to break the system where the vagus nerve isn't functioning well. And we have to get that communication and those signalings back in order. So your immune system comes out of high alert. It comes away from attacking itself. You're not broken. You are just overwhelmed and you don't have the support you need. If you have symptoms like bloating or constipation, or if you've been diagnosed with IBS, those are all signs of poor vagal tone. Anxiety, panic attacks, low heart rate variability. So if any of you guys wear a watch, I know I wear a Garmin, it tracks my heart rate variability. I sent an email out a while back when I was sick and I showed my heart rate variability in that email right off of my watch. So if you track that, you can see, is your heart able to go from high to low? Are you able to recover? Do you have brain fog? Do you have fatigue that it doesn't matter how much rest you get? You wake up tired? Do you have difficulty swallowing frequently, feel tight in the throat, sensitivity to light, sound, or stress, just feeling numb and disconnected? Those are all physical signs of poor vagal tone. They're all parts of the body that are connected to that vagal or the vagus nerve that are doing what they're supposed to be doing, but we need them to get back on track. We need them to get back into that parasympathetic state. So what can you do to improve your vagal tone? This is why you're here. This is why you're still listening. There is not a supplement that is going to be able to get into your subconscious and, quote, fix you. You cannot buy your way to better vagal tone. You might need to fill some gaps, and it might be a great idea to fill some gaps. But to create true safety from within, we got to go deeper. You have to nurture your body through consistent body-based practices to help recreate a sense of safety from within so that your body can align and learn how to put the brakes on and how to downshift. And while I wholeheartedly believe that these techniques that I'm about to tell you about have a great and deep and real healing value, you also need to sit down and take the time to unravel what got you here in the first place. What beliefs, habits, experiences taught beliefs or habits or experiences, subconscious habits, beliefs, and experiences do you have that got you here in the first place? Because true lasting nervous system healing requires both practice, the physical practice that I'm about to tell you about, but also some inner work. Like you're going to have to figure out how you got here. But here are a few of my favorite body-based practices that you can do to kind of help improve your vagal tone. Breath work. I have a free breathwork guide on my website. I will drop it in the description. It is a breath pattern that I love. I explain it in the video that's there, but I took a few different breathing modalities and I put them together in one that I love. I hope you love it. If you try it, it's free. Go download the video. Breathwork is a great way to try to regulate your body. Cold exposure. I have not done cold plunging. Now, I have some people, some friends, some acquaintances, some colleagues that love cold plunging. And if that is for you, that is great. But I haven't tried that yet. But I will tell you, I do splash my face with cold water. I like sticking my hands in cold water. I like sticking my feet in cold water. All of that. All of that counts as cold exposure. You do not have to jump into a full tub. You do not have to go out and buy a tub. You don't have to get an ice bucket or any of that. Anything, splashing your face with cold water, putting your feet in a bucket of cold water, putting your hands in a sink of cold water, all of that counts. Singing, humming, and chanting, these all stimulate the nerve where it exits your vocal cords. So that is a great way to improve vocal tone. And laughter, like really good, deep belly laughs are like gold for your vagus nerve. Somatic therapy and body healing. Now, those you're going to have to go find a practitioner for, but that is also great. I do have some clients that have sought out a somatic healer and done some trauma work that way. Gentle movement like walking or Pilates or shaking it out, tapping, those are called bottom up therapies. And it is where you are challenging your body physically, linking it to your mind, linking it to your breath, and finding regulation that way. Pilates happens to be my go-to movement. And I do have some resources online for that as well. A lot of people use yoga as well, but I tend to be a Pilates girl. And then connection and co-regulation. You need to have safe, powerful, or safe relationships that have a powerful vagal like kindredship, like if you are associating with people that are dysregulated, you're going to feel more dysregulated. If you associate with people that are more regulated, you are going to pick up that vibration. I remember the first time I heard somebody talking about like vibrations and energy, and I was like, what? I don't get it. This is too woo-woo for me. And then I started paying attention and I started doing more inner work and I started like diving into this and I was like, oh, now I get it. And the best way I can explain it is if you're around somebody that exhausts you, they probably have poor vagal tone. And I know you know what I mean. Like when you're like, you don't want to go out to dinner with so and so because they exhaust you, because they always have a problem. They always, have this trauma experience. Even, they're always complaining. They're always whatever. They have poor vagal tone. They are stuck in fight or flight. And it is exhausting to be around them. So think about your relationships and making sure, because there is a co-regulation there, making sure that you are around and have solid relationships with people that have solid vagal tone. And I'm not saying to discard those other relationships. Once you get your vagal tone back to where it needs to be, you'll be able to be around them and you'll be able to protect your energy and you'll be able to like flow and be in ease. So I'm not saying get rid of all your friends. All right. And above all, I need you to do less and just be more. Like just relax, just do less and be. I want less perfection. I want more presence. I want less thinness. I want more nourishment. I want less people pleasing. I want more boundaries. You cannot heal in the same environment with the same mindset that made you sick. I want to say that again. You cannot heal in the same environment with the same mindset that made you sick. I don't care if you're doing all of those things I just listed above as body practices until you slow down, until you change your environment and your mindset, you will not be able to fully heal. You're not broken and you didn't create the social standards that we live in, but you have to make conscious changes to your subconscious if you're truly ready to stop shrinking yourself and dealing with your body's natural stress responses, and instead find peace and security from within so that you can create your truly desired life and live in joy. So I want you to take away that you're not broken, that I gave you some body responses to do to start you off. And I want you to notice how you feel before you do some of those body practices versus how you feel when you're done. And then keep a journal. How do you feel after doing them for a week, for 10 days, for 3 weeks, for 1 month? Are you seeing the progress in that? And if you are ready to go deeper, if this episode spoke to you and you are enjoying the body practices, if you feel seen and validated, maybe even a little angry, I want you to know you don't have to live in survival mode. You don't have to keep white knuckling your way through life and thinking everything is normal and feeling like garbage. And I know my doctor has said to me before, well, you are a middle-aged mom. No, that's not the way we're going to live. But if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, this all makes sense. I'm gonna do those physical body movements, but what else? That's exactly what we're gonna get ready to go into in the Calming Your Cortisol Chaos Masterclass. It is on my website. If your body feels like a dumpster fire and you are tired of trying these surface level solutions, this class that I co-host along with registered dietitian Stephanie Darby, it's going to help you break down exactly how to lower your stress hormone, your cortisol hormone, in a way that is rooted in science, but also in mindset and real life experiences. So, we're going to take some of what we talked about today with your vagus nerve, but we're going to take it a little bit deeper into some of the physical stress response that happens in your body. And if you're starting to realize that the reason that you're dysregulated is because you're trying to keep up all these impossible expectations, you're not crazy, you're conditioned. And that's what we unpack in Perfectly Imbalanced, which is how hustle culture and the myth of balance and the pressure to do it all literally is wrecking your body. So if that's what you need, you might want to check out that masterclass where we break that down. You can start small. You can start now. You can start with just the body, physical body movements from above, the breath work, the cold, the whatever feels like it's calling your name. But you don't have to do it alone and you don't have to do it all right now in this moment. If you haven't already, I invite you to join the AKW newsletter to stay connected to the sisterhood. You'll get a weekly love letter, love note from me, and some other tips. And it just feels good to be connected to other women going through the same thing. Or to see women further ahead in the journey as you, to know that, okay, there is light at the end of this tunnel. I am not crazy. And if you would do me a huge favor before you log off of wherever you're listening to this podcast today, if you would write a comment what you thought about this podcast or the podcast in general, or like the podcast or share this episode, it really, really helps me as a female owned and operated small business reach other women that need to hear this message. So thank you again for being here today. I hope you learned something fantastic about your vagus nerve, what it is, what is vagal tone, and how you can improve your vagal tone and what it's doing to your body. Like, why should you even care? Anyway, that is all for me today. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of the AKW podcast.